And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will call this meeting to order. This is a workshop of the McAllen Board of Commissioners. Today's Monday, September 25th. It's 4 p.m. and we're at the McAllen City Hall, third floor. We'll begin with number one on the agenda. Any questions to staff regarding the meeting for today?
Not for me.
Nope. None. All right. There being no questions, we'll go to item number 2, parking enforcement technology pilot.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the commission. We've got a short presentation on something we've been looking at in downtown. So I'm going to hand it over to Mario.
Sure. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, just a brief presentation on a technology parking enforcement that we want to pilot. Just wanted to give you a presentation. If the wishes of the commission is that we proceed, we've worked through the legal department to look at an agreement which we're pretty comfortable with at this point. We'll just hash it out and bring it for the next meeting to get that ratified. It's called the Safety Stick. It's an automated license plate recognition software or equipment that does citations on the spot for specific areas, and I'll go into details as to why we would need something like that. So we'll talk about how it works, the convenience, and it's a no-cost solution to the city. The benefit of the Safety Stick is that it's supposed to reduce illegal parking by up to 95%, which is what we want to achieve. It's a fairly small footprint. It's a little bit under 4 feet and 6 inches wide. It looks like those decorative bollards that we have out there at the terminal, which is where we're intending to place it. So here's what it looks like in the environment. So the issue that we have is we have illegal parking going on at the taxi queue line on 15th Street. The problem is that it creates a lot of times bottlenecks on 15th Street to getting in and out of the terminal. And the main goal is to deter that illegal parking. A lot of times people park there for a couple of minutes, and that is enough time to generate a bottleneck. We've gotten calls before for this issue. The problem is that the only way to deter it is to issue citations, and it's hard to issue citations because we don't have people patrolling that area 24/7 every single minute of the day. So by the time that we call the parking enforcement personnel and they get there and people are already gone. I personally have approached individuals and asked them not to park there, and they're dismissive at this because there's really no consequence since they're not going to be issued a citation on the spot. So this will certainly help deter that. It would be a pilot project that we would look at for about 6 months, and we'll see how it goes and either continue it, maybe even add it to other areas of the downtown or even beyond downtown if we see the need for technology like this. It's pretty simple. As a car parks, the equipment recognizes the plates and issues a citation. We get a detailed report of every citation issued every day, the day after. And then we would approve every citation before it actually gets issued. And the reason for that is that we may have situations where we don't want to issue a citation to somebody based on if they were, well, one example is like a plate, international plate, a Mexican plate. We know that we're not going to be able to collect on that, so we would probably dismiss that particular, so that because the vendor does take 40% of the citation, we don't want to approve a citation that we're not going to collect on and still have to be liable for the 40%. So that would be one of the reasons why we would make sure to approve every single one and make sure that they're legit citations. So we get a picture, with timestamps of when the car parked, when the citation was issued and when the car left. And then, like I said, a city personnel would review the citations that were issued and then manually sign off on all of them before they get issued and then mailed out. I just want to make sure to reiterate, it would be a citation, an improper citation. They're $15 citations. We wouldn't have to make any modifications to an ordinance because it's the same citation that we already have. It's just would be quicker to enforce on it. Pretty simple installation. Some deployments. And then just real quick, again, the safety stick and installation is provided. They'll train our people on their back-end software. The citations would be given to us daily. We would approve them, and before they get mailed out, the vendor does take 40% of the citation cost, and they do need about $140 a month to kind of make sure that it accounts for the cost for the software and deployment. And so we would like to pilot it for about 6 months, and then beyond that, we would look to see if we want to extend based on performance and success.
So Mario takes a photo of the license plate,
Yes.
and then we have the software to find the owner of the license plate.
Yes. Any U.S.-based license plate we'd be able to find and mail a citation.
So aside from the fact that it deters post-offense, how do you do it pre-violation? Where's the deterrence there? Because once a person parks illegally, wouldn't you rather have them not be there to begin with?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I guess that's something that we.
Does it signal like a beep or something, or alert?
I mean, we talked about signage to make. I mean, we already have signage.
Yeah.
We already have signage, and it says tow away zone. But the fact that they know we're not going to call a tow truck on the spot and get towed if they're going to be there for a minute or two, but that minute or two does create an issue for us. And how do we get them to not park there? I mean, if they get a couple citations, but for parking there where they usually don't, as we currently have it, that might help deter. But I don't know I mean, we could put even more signs and lights and stuff like that. But
I mean, to me, it would be pretty cool if you had sound, like a little alarm, maybe a red light that flashes. I mean, I don't know, or even red and blue kind of. I don't know.
How many spaces is one of these going to be able to identify?
You know what I'm talking about, right?
it's up to 35 feet, so maybe 8 to 10 spaces.
Man, 8 to 10 spaces.
And just
then you're gonna guarantee $140 a month to the company? That's what they want.
that's basically what it boils down to. It's less than $1,000 in 6 months. If we have a guard there 24/7, it would cover 3 days of that guard being there.
But it's per
No.
unit.
Well, yeah, we're piloting one unit now to see how it works,
okay.
right?
Yeah, but it's per unit. They want to.
$140. So it's the equivalent of about 23 citations per month. I walked
Per
by the
unit.
per month per unit. I walked by the taxi queue line today at around 2:30, and there was a violator that I wish we would have had the stick to issue a citation. On the way over here, which was an hour, a little bit over an hour, there was another one. And so there, it is an issue. And I can tell you because my office is right next to 15th where the taxi queue area is, and I hear the honking every day.
But, okay, so let's just say that's a 2-block scenario there, whatever. But do you think it's, let's say right Main Street. I mean, people are parking and getting out and parking, and if they're not putting money in the meter, that's usually a problem. Where would they be violating in that street?
Illegal parking.
Illegal
Parking. So prohibited parking. So
Where is the prohibited parking then?
it's a taxi queue area, so it's designed only to have the taxis pull in and pull out of there. So if somebody comes in and parks there, they're taking a spot from the taxis, and then it prohibits taxis from entering the queue line and exiting the queue line, and then it creates a bottleneck on 15th Street.
How about, it's a real problem. I mean, I drive through that spot every day, at least twice a day, and including in the mornings. You'd be surprised that, 6:30 in the morning, when people are dropping off folks for the bus, people get aggravated, because they can't get around them. And so my question to you is, not so much the people parking in the designated taxiway, but how about on the street? I I mean, what they do is they stop on a driving lane, and they open the trunk, and they're getting stuff out, and, I mean, traffic is stopped. Would it be able to catch that? And is that eligible for a parking ticket?
Yeah, I mean, they can't park on the street. So my idea would be to place it, so it's a taxi queue area, and then it does this number on, after it ends. So I would place it somewhere where it would read the lane and the taxi area. And that would be the design.
If you have that there, wouldn't you want a sign right next to it that says violators would be? penalized?
We'll add signage that tells them, you're subject to citation. There is a tow, it does say towaways on right now, but we could add language to say, subject to immediate citation. Something to try and help deter, before it happens. But, yeah, it's just a problem that this would be one creative way to try and resolve it. Again, it's a pilot that we want to look at. Who knows, it might not work out, but at least.
How long are we committed on that?
What I want to do is 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're okay with that 6
Yes,
months?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I assume legal's already worked this out, how,
We've looked at it.
If someone
and we
challenges,
made
it goes to
a lot of-
trial.
A lot of changes to the agreement to make it a pilot approach.
Yeah, and they were okay with all the modifications that were provided.
This is a presentation, no action taken. just a
No
presentation.
action. If the wish of the commission is for us to pursue it, we'll bring the agreement before you on the 9th of October.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. All right, next item.
Next is we've got an update on streetlights. I think this was requested by the commission.
Introduce you. Mayor Pro Tem and Commission, thank you for allowing us to present today. Mario Cruz has been taking over for traffic temporarily while Marlene is out on leave. He'll be giving you an update on the streetlights that we have currently budgeted, and so I'm going to pass it over to Mario so he can do the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Rolando. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Just again, very brief update on the streetlight program we have. Going through, kind of stepping back a little bit to see where, there we go, to see where we're at. So our categories or the priorities we were looking at for the program was basically to focus on established neighborhoods, arterial roadways, annexed areas, and undeveloped areas. Real high-level metrics on this per district you see there to the right. And we were using the number of lights essentially basically within the entire district. This metric, of course, is basically showing all the lights that we have in each district for all the categories we're showing.
You want to remind them what District 4?
Yeah, District 4 was addressed with, I believe back in 2019 with a pilot program. So we took care of, I want to say, all the lights with that area, any of those concerns that brought up there.
Let's go south to north.
Oh.
6 is next.
So now look, very quick overview on this next slide here. If I can get that to work. There we go. On established neighborhoods is what we're concentrating on now. Just want to give you an update where we're at to date. Again, metrics showing there to the right, showing number of street lights that we're targeting for established neighborhoods for each district. And then just to give you a very quick overview of what the workflow typically consists of. When we are looking at these areas, we basically put together a preliminary schematic of what the needs out there in terms with the streetlights, and then move into a field recon phase, basically going out there to visually confirm what the lighting patterns are, the deficiencies that we are aware that may be there, and then also identifying any constraints, putting the schematic together. If a pole, schematically on a map, on a Google Earth or whatever, if you set down a pole based on a spacing distance, it may end up in front of a driveway sometimes, or mailboxes, depending on the obstructions that, you really can't see on a 2D map. And then we'll move into what is prepare the final schematic and actually submit that to AEP or Magic Valley, which are the two companies that we're working with. In turn, those two providers will submit their final plan for us for review based on that. And then we move forward with basically an invoicing phase and then ultimately the installation. So where we are today here, just very quick glance again, kind of at a glance where we're at. District 1, we're receiving the final plans from AEP and Magic Valley with those. Those will actually trigger the invoice and will actually begin or have begun to encumber funds against the account. District 2, 5, and 6 were in the field recon stage. So if you remember from the workflow schematic, that's essentially confirming what's out there on the ground and then translating that into develop the final schematics. District 3, we have reached the final schematics middle phase. So we prepared the packet for what we've already verified out in the field. That'll be submitted in turn to the two providers and subsequently move through the same process for the invoicing and the installation. So, and then I've got maps of the different districts up on the screen, and I'll open it up to any questions now.
What's the ideal spacing again?
Typically, we're using 150 residential subdivisions. That's our minimum space, or the maximum spacing you would want between poles.
And the light would be LED?
LEDs, yeah. Yeah, we have some going through the actual program. What's involved in it may be new installations or as simple as just changing out the LED bulbs. Adding a light head to an existing pole, or the ones that do take a little bit more time, that are a little bit more in-depth, require installation of several poles, several light heads, and on a run of the electrical service for that.
And at least from a prior workshop, a year and a half of the cost for the pole, I guess the beam, the fixture?
The arm, and the
The
fixture.
arc, yeah. The arc, and then the actual light itself is about $1,000, $1,100?
Is between 18 and 2,500 is what we've looked at historically.
What's the time frame for those stages, the stage then? So like field reconnaissance is what, 6 months?
Yeah, anywhere between three to 4 months. We're looking at having at least all the field recon completed by the end of the calendar year, and then moving into the schematic design for those. Some of these, of course, a portion of it we have to do after hours, of course, just to monitor the lighting pattern and majority of the spread we're getting. But a lot of it can be taken care of during the day and just making sure we're setting a pole where there's we don't have any constraints, conflicts.
Sounds good. Any other questions, comments?
Okay, what's the next step?
On the program itself, Commissioner?
Well, you're going to come back to us, what's the next step to this presentation?
We'd like to come back maybe quarterly, or at least submit a Friday highlight to let you know where we are as we're progressing, and then have a little bit more information in terms of what we've spent to date, the number of lights we've taken care of, and then what categories we've hit into there. So it'll be kind of continual.
Is there a, I guess, priority areas within the districts?
Yes, within the districts, and I'll move you back to that on the categories here, this first one. So we chose to hit the neighborhoods first, within established neighborhoods that have deficiencies in lighting, and then move on to the next one into the arterial roadways, and then, annex and undeveloped.
10th Street runs, as 23rd, and as, Bicentennial second also, but 10th Street runs, north and south throughout our city. And there has been a lot of concern on the lighting of 10th Street, whether in the north and also in the south, is that there's not enough lighting on it. And that's what
If you have a particular area, Commissioner, we have a separate, sorry about that. If you have a particular area, we have a separate, not a big pot of money, but we do have a separate pot of money through our operating budget that maybe we can address that
Well,
concern.
if it's gonna get, we're gonna get to it, okay? Okay, we're gonna get to it, but if we could, maybe there are some specific areas that we know within our districts, and we can come to you. Yeah, I don't wanna make it just District One, I mean, whoever, you know, there's some pockets, if we can maybe get to those. And I want you all to go and see it and look at it, because there is some pockets, and I'm just saying, you know, there's a few in District One, but there's, I've seen other districts that there's a little too dark, you're correct.
Well, you've
Some
got a
of them-
map here that's got 10th Street. Why don't you tell us what you are proposing already?
So I think part of what the reason I posed the question that or presented that is everything we're doing is interior to the subdivisions.
See?
And so that we had set out a priority, we had a previous workshop to kind of prioritize how we would go about the expenditure of those funds. And so a lot of what we're doing here is looking at the infill inside the subdivisions and lighting that up. And then finishing that, then we would come back, and then I think the next step was arterials. We would need to look for another pot of money after we finish this project, would be arterials, and then, I don't remember what the,
So what does that number 60 mean here on where it says District 1, Part B? What does that mean?
$60 lights in that part. That's how I read it. That's what you're talking about?
this one right here
Yeah,
is,
it's supposed to be 60 lights are needed in that stretch.
but they're for they're inside the subdivision. They're interior to subdivisions,
Okay. So not on 10th Street.
not on 10th
I was
Street.
gonna ask, like 10th Street, Pecan.
We can do a
Those
service.
are text up roads. Are we gonna do something with them, or we are the ones responsible for it? It's text not responsible.
For 10th Street or any state road, we're responsible.
Okay.
Well, you know, and I know that Pecan area on 10th Street could use some lighting. I know that the Trenton area, and I'm talking maybe from Dove to Trenton, and then Trenton. After Trenton, it's pretty lighted, but before that. And then, you know, there's other areas.
Yeah, we can get,
Yeah, I can get a little more specific and get that.
Yeah, no, we would welcome that whenever you see any areas that you may or may not think they're not included on the list, we'll go ahead and
Send an
take them
email.
through, yeah.
Okay.
We do also have some other ones that, we get the work orders constantly, so as they come in, if they're within the areas we're looking at, they'll be
Yeah,
addressed.
I know some of them have, you know, were just totally off and then they were lighted up, but this is LED lights that we're talking about here, which is not what is there today.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah, some may be,
And that
what
would
is
make a
the,
difference.
yeah.
definitely.
And I would suggest, Mayor and Commissioners, that you'd send whatever information you have to one of three people, Alice, Michelle, or me. You can copy Eduardo. Not that I don't think he'll do it, but we need to make sure that we're
Yeah, yeah.
following up on your request. Okay?
Mario, I know you answered the question.
Yes, sir.
Now that he asked it, or Roy asked it, so if the number 60 is on 10th Street, that's supposed to stand, or let's say in this case 70, right there, I believe that's 10th Street there on the right side of the screen.
Yes, right.
That reflects what again? The number of proposed lights along that corridor?
In the
Or
corridor,
arterials, rather.
in the corridor and in the perimeter. It may not necessarily be the roadway corridor itself, kind of a combination thereof.
The neighborhoods. And we want to do that also, without a doubt.
Yeah, you want to light up the neighborhood.
Yes, without a doubt. I'm just saying,
I think the next time we bring it, we'll actually bring you where we think we're going to install
yeah,
them. Okay?
that'll help.
Yep.
And the sooner the better.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because I will tell you that, you know, daylight savings time is coming around and it's gonna get darker earlier and there's a lot of traffic. coming in and out of town, and people coming in from work somewhere else, and coming to shop and whatever, so, yeah, whatever we can do.
That's
Go
great.
on, City.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Then the fourth item, we'll bring back, the MPO director was unable to make it today, so we're done with workshop.
Okay, we're done with the workshop. We'll recess into executive session. All right.
That's fine.
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission chamber on the third floor at McAllen City Hall.
I know we already had a moment of silence, but please, let's do this for those individuals that lost their lives on this day, horrible day. If you would please join me for at least